The Wildcat Sports Club CNY Brewfest is coming up January 31st and February 1st at the New York State Fairgrounds. Taste your way through unlimited samples from more than 100 breweries, now featuring hard ciders, seltzers, craft cocktails, and mocktails too. Grab your tickets now at cnybrewfest.com.
Presented by Point Guard Advisors, a show about high school sports by high school students. Sundays 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ESPN Radio Syracuse. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
You know it. It means we're before the game. We know how these things work. 11:30, yes, it is a weird time. Brian Higgins with you. The game does tip at 12:30 today. You have not, read the schedule wrong. You've not looked at your watch wrong. You've not asked your Alexa wrong about what time it is. Yeah, it's 11:30. This is what time we got going right now. It is a tip time of 12:30 in the Dome today. Yes, an odd tip time, but it is what is happening. 12:30 in the Dome today for Syracuse and for Pittsburgh in a game that, I will be honest with you, I thought we got CW'd. I'm like, 12:30, that reeks of the CW. ESPN 2. How about that? Rocking the deuce. Rocking the deuce today, and of course, TK99 and ESPN 1200. But Brian Higgins with you on ESPN 97.7 in the Cuse. For the next hour, working our way up to our tip-off. Of course, as always, live with everything we do, with beautiful moving pictures on QSportsTalk.com, the QSportsTalk YouTube page, the QSportsTalk Twitch page. We got the chat up. We'll be interacting throughout the course of the show, as we always do. And if you'd like to just talk to me in the old-fashioned way, our phone number works, as always, at 315-437-7644. Give a ring throughout. We will stop what we're doing. I don't care what we're doing. It's my show. I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll talk to you. That's how we'll do it. We'll stop right in the middle of something. Maybe I'll finish a sentence. Maybe not. But if you'd like to chat over the course of the next hour, 315-437-7644. What do we got coming up this hour? We'll play back some Red Autry for you from Orange Nation earlier this week. He talked with Steve after the day after the Clemson loss. We'll get into the Clemson loss Wednesday night down in South Carolina here momentarily. But that's what we got cooking here today as we look forward to getting into it on this fine, actually very nice Saturday afternoon out here in the Cuse. Wasn't insanely freezing out there. The wind was not bowling me over. What a beautiful January Saturday afternoon out here in the 315 as we get you ready for Syracuse and Pittsburgh in what sets up as an interesting game for a variety of reasons. For one, can the Orange get back to 500? Can the Orange, for lack of a better word, beat a team worth a crap? I'm not talking about quad whatever. So quad, who cares at the moment? The Orange aren't in the business of worrying about quads right now. But Syracuse is 9-10, 3-5 in the ACC. They'll play Pitt today. They'll play them again in roundabouts a month down at the Peterson Events Center. Of the potentially upper echelon teams in the league, and Pitt, I thought, was in that group. They've dropped to potentially, and we'll explain why here of late. Pitt, looking around, today at home, it feels like, in many ways, your potentially best realistic chance to get a semi-decent win here going forward. Obviously, you have Duke at home. You have Carolina at home. The Carolina, their quality is dropping. I mean, maybe you can beat them because they're not playing well. Duke, that feels like a path too far potentially for anybody in this league, but we'll see how that plays out over the course of the next month or two. But today you got a chance to beat a team that has shown something. On the other side of the coin, Pitt hasn't shown anything in the last 2 weeks. The Panthers are 12-6. 2 weeks ago, they were 12-2. Yes, your math is correct. That means Pittsburgh has lost 4 consecutive games right now. Pittsburgh has lost 4 consecutive games right now. Now, the other side of the coin is whom they have lost to. And this is the reason why I'm struggling here with where to place them in the league. I thought they might be in the group with Clemson, with Louisville, in that conglomeration right behind Duke. But in this 4-game losing streak, their losses are to Duke, No surprise. That was a blowout. They have 2 close losses to Clemson. That was a week ago today at the Pete and to Louisville. And they lost on the road in Tallahassee, as Syracuse did, to Florida State. So you look at the losses as a collective, and there's not a bad loss in the group. They've just all happened to come consecutively. That's about as tough of a 4-game run as you can have in this league this year. So today is a wildly important game for Pittsburgh. Can they get back on track? Are they a tournament team? Last year they won 22 games last year. Beat Duke in Cameron. Blake Hinson was on the table. He devoed. They beat Duke in Cameron, won 22 games, and because of the metrics involving the ACC last year, both real and seemingly imagined, Pittsburgh missed the tournament last year. They had a tournament team last year and missed. This year, they're 12-6. They're 3-4 in the league. Today is very much a fork-in-the-road game for Pittsburgh if they want to make the tournament here for the second time in 3 years under Jeff Capel. So we'll see what happens here today. Look at the recent losses for Pitt. Blown out by Duke, but it's by 4 to Louisville, by 12 at Florida State, then a 3-point overtime loss to Clemson. And here's what Pitt is. Rested. They did not have a midweek game. They're on a 4-game losing streak, wounded dog, the whole thing. We'll see how it happens today for Pittsburgh. Well, here's how Syracuse arrived here. Wednesday night, down in South Carolina. Final score, Clemson 86, Syracuse 72. I don't know if those numbers really tell the tale. We all watched the game. We all listened to the game. We all talked about it after and yesterday and the day before. Yeah, Syracuse lost by 14. It was worse than that. The Orange were down by 24 with, 8-ish minutes to go. They were down by 14. There was never a chance for it to be closer than that unless Choppa's weird last-second steal and heave had counted. Then it would have been even the more deceiving 11-point loss. It was a 14-point loss, but this game was decided in the final 10 minutes of the opening half. Back and forth. First 8-10 minutes of the game, very good. J.J. Starling making shots, big shots. It was great. Lots was going on. 1-point game with 10 minutes to go in the half. Clemson was up 1. Lead was changing. It was a fun game. Clemson was up 1 at the halfway mark of the first half. 10 minutes of basketball later, halftime in the Dome on Saturday. Halftime at Clemson on Saturday. 19-point game. They added 18 points to their lead in the final 10 minutes of the half, and that ended it because Syracuse never really had anything that made a significant move in the second half. There was no, coming out of halftime push. We look back at the Notre Dame game a week ago today. Syracuse was down big. They were down 17 with 5 minutes to go in the half, but cut it to 9 by halftime. This game, it went the complete opposite way of what we saw last Saturday in the Dome. That said, Clemson is a significantly better ball club than what we saw from Notre Dame last Saturday in the Dome. Pittsburgh, they're kind of riding the fence in the middle. Today for Pittsburgh, I don't want to say it's the most important game of their season or is going to determine if they make the tournament or not. But, man, if Pitt wins this game and, say Pitt wins today by 10 or whatever, this goes back to Pitt being kind of on the same path they've been all season, give or take. Their losses are to good teams. No bad losses. They're in fine shape. If Pitt loses today, and unfortunately this is the boat Syracuse has become right now, this is a bad loss for Pittsburgh. You're losing to a team mid-100s in the net, and now you're on a 5-game losing streak, and you're starting to panic down there. So this is a monster game today for Pittsburgh. And it's Cuse Pitt, man. There's still a little sizzle to this, huh? Twice every year. What else do we got here going into today? All right, looking back at last game. It's 86-72. JJ was great. 25 points. He was cooking early, above 50%. The team had one of its best shooting days of the season. They were above 50% from the field. They made, I think it was 11 of 23s. They made all but one free throw. But turnovers. You might say 14 is not a crazy amount. It's not good. It's not, remember, the tail end of the year of 2024 when they had, 60 turnovers in the span of 3 games, something crazy like that. This ain't that. 14's not that, but it is what Clemson did with them. The points off turnovers are 14-7. Points off were 19-4. There was a 15-point spread in points off turnovers on Wednesday in a game that was decided by 14. That ain't a quinky-dink. Points in the paint. And this number worries me today. Points in the paint on Wednesday was Clemson 40 and Syracuse 20. And it's not necessarily the hard numbers about that worry me. It's the way they were achieved. That was not dump the ball in low. Syracuse got dominated inside points in the paint. That was Syracuse could not stop people going toward the basket points in the paint. That was like guards getting in there points in the paint. And Pittsburgh's got some guards now. Pittsburgh has some guards now that Syracuse is going to have to deal with in the ball game today that know how to do stuff like that and could easily take advantage if Syracuse's defense is the same as we saw on Wednesday night down in South Carolina, because they'll be coming in with Jalen Lowe and Ishmael Leggett. And, yeah, those guys average more than 30 a game together, about 32, 33. Like, they could go off in a game like this if Syracuse plays similar on-ball defense as they did in the game on Wednesday night. So we'll see if that gets shored up. And you talk about points in the paint. Pittsburgh, we're used to Pittsburgh having some, big, giant, huge guys. DeJuan Blair, Aaron Gray, guys like that. Just like, oh my goodness, clears some room. That's not what they got this year. They don't really have the thunder inside. So that could go one of two ways. Can Eddie Lampkin take advantage of that? No word as of this second on Donnie Freeman, but not expecting anything different. Can Eddie Lampkin take advantage of that? Or conversely, Pitt Center can stretch you out a little bit. Can he reverse that, back it up a little bit, and cause the Orange some trouble from the outside? Because Cameron Corrin, he's a 6'10 guy, but he's, not big. But he can knock down like a 15, 16-footer. Can Eddie follow him out there? I think that's going to be an interesting chess match in the ball game today. Do we have any official word on Donnie Freeman yet? I've not seen official word on Donnie Freeman yet. This is generally about the time the official word that Donnie's not playing lands in our lap. Not officially yet. So there's that. We'll wait on that. We'll wait on him being officially ruled out in our Harding and Mazzotti injury report for later. All right, with that, we'll take a break here in our pregame coverage. When we come back, we will get into a little Red Autry, his conversation with Steve from the other day on Orange Nation. Later in the show, we'll talk about the Syracuse Pitt series. Man, there have been some moments. There have been some moments in this series over the years, and we'll do everything we need to do to get you set up for the Orange and the Panthers' first of two this year between these long-time rivals across all the sports. With that, we'll step aside. If you'd like to chime in, you can. 315-437-7644. Back after this on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Syracuse basketball head.
Yeah, need the matching warm-ups. We need the matching back braces. Let's see. Has anyone actually said Donnie's out yet officially? I'm sure someone will get around to it, but... Let's check our sources. I presume so, LA Orange. I presume the same. It's like to the point now where it's not even urgent news to predict he's not playing or to report he's not playing. But it is nice to, see it officially so we can say it out loud and give you our injury report, all officially. Sources. Oh, what's going on over on the YouTube? Is it time to talk football? I mean, we talk football all the time. Not necessarily, though, Nick, in the basketball pregame show. I'd say I haven't really looked at a lot of that except this, Nick. SMU, Tennessee, Clemson are all bringing back their starting quarterback. Miami's bringing in Georgia's starting quarterback. So, looking at it just through the lens of quarterback, it's not good. Hi, Cuse Sports Talk. Yeah, it was all JJ the other night, Laker. There wasn't anything else. It's concerning. Like my bet, Nick, is that all right, you got like 6 really tough road games. Like they're gonna get 1 or 2 of them probably. They'll get 1, but it's a hard schedule. Yes, LA Orange. I'm here all day with you. I will be back for postgame. But yeah, Nick, as per the football schedule, like Tennessee's got Amalieva back at quarterback. SMU has Jennings back. Clemson has Klubnik back. Like, that's all. Like, yeah. Is there roster turnover? Of course there is. It's college sports, but that would be the early difference without going neck deep in the research that Syracuse does not have McCord back, but they got their guys back. Yeah, fact, KPC Stash. That's why I don't know if you were with us yesterday. I have brilliantly pawned all of it off on Paulie. I have brilliantly pawned all of the staying awake off on Paulie. Oh, great season, San Diego Cuse, realistically, because there's no way to come up with a season like that without having a couple of really good wins. I should have brought a whistle with me, Jen. We keep you guys in line. I mean, we did have Paulie. I wasn't even intending to do it. We had Paulie accidentally convinced that he had to wear pajamas.
This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
That it be. Back at it here today. Starter's not posted yet. Still way too early for that. We'll probably have that half hour-ish or so out. Officiating crew today led by Bill Covington Jr. with Tommy Morrissey and Justin Porterfield. The Stripes in the Dome today. So if you're going to boo the refs, those are your 3 guys. Let them have it later on today. All right, back at it here on our Burdick pregame coverage for you as we're getting you ready for Syracuse in Pittsburgh. Brian Higgins with you if you're heading on up to the Dome today, or if you're not. Still the same show. We're here with you up until tip-off today. Then we'll be back immediately after our post-game coverage starts right after the final horn. We'll have Red Autry's full post-game press conference live, plus all of your surely lighthearted and good mood phone calls after the game here today. But right now, let's get you a little red, as he always does, brought to you by Oswego County Mutual. Adrian Autry joins Orange Nation every Thursday at 1 o'clock. Thursday at 1 o'clock was the day after the Clemson game, and that is when he visited with Stephen Fonte.
We were thinking that maybe the turnover problem was getting better. It certainly was in the last 2 wins. Last night, it bit you guys again. 9 first-half turnovers, a lot of live ball turnovers. I know you spoke about that in the post-game press conference. What can be done to solve this issue? Because it seems like guys are making plays that, it's not like you're telling them to make those plays. I mean, I guess, how do you as a coach go about solving the turnover issue?
It's a question that, we talk about. Again, some of the turnovers that we made, it was probably 1 or 2 that were basketball plays. Other ones was just, unexplainable. It's unexplainable. Just kind of a simple bounce pass or a pass that, we don't get. So again, we talk about those things and discuss those things, and that was the difference. I mean, when you break this game down, and I thought, a couple of those turnovers in the first half, I think we gave up 4 points. The bigger thing was the offensive rebounds. The couple that we gave up, they cashed those in, and that's the difference in that game. Because when you look at it, in the second half, we outscored them in the second half. In the first half, we played, up until that little stretch, and there's no answers. There's no transition defense when you make those type of live ball turnovers. You can't defend that, and those are the things that we have to clean up and do a better job of if we want to beat win consistently. That's just what we talked about.
Yeah, and you mentioned those. You're right on the money with those stats. Clemson had 19 points off turnovers, 11 fast break points, 13 second chance points, and again, that made a huge difference in them building up that lead, and that lead turned out to be insurmountable, certainly in the second half. So we talk about turnovers. The other big thing to come out of last night again was the defense, and at times we've seen the defense, like the second half against Notre Dame, defense was really good. Defense helped you win that game. What collectively as a coaching staff do you need to see on that end of the floor against the quality opponents?
Rebound.
Louisville game kind of went the same way. Clemson game went the same. So it's rebound.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it. Like the defense, again, their threes came off. I think 3 of their threes came off of offensive rebounds. That's 9 points. We don't get the rebound. We make a miss. They get a rebound. They swing it. They run something else. They get a shot. That's 9 points right there. And those are the things that are, that we talk about, like, that are frustrating, because those are we can rebound the basketball. And typically we're a decent rebounding team, one of the better rebounding teams statistically. But the times that we don't get them, they cashed in. They cashed in. And I thought, from a defensive standpoint, again, some of the live ball turnovers, you can't defend that. But just in the half court alone, when you just take that away, the things that stick out, the thing that sticks out is, those second chance points, those offensive rebounds that they got and cashed in. That they got 3 points. They got 3-point shot. I think they got 9 points off of that. That's the thing that sticks out about this game. And that half court, if you just look at it, half court solely defensively. And then again, you add into those couple of turnovers, and that's the difference. The margin of error, is not, is slim.
It's got to be frustrating. And, we've been talking about this on the show, that it's, I know you're telling the guys what to do. They understand what to do, but sometimes it's just not there. There's these lapses that you're talking about, for lack of a better term, right? They know what to do, but they're not doing it on every possession. How frustrating is that? I mean, can you speak, I guess, to your frustration with just this particular team, that it's just, it's just you're not getting the results that you want?
Yeah, I think everyone is frustrated. As far as we know, what we know we can play better, and we've shown that we can play better just in spurts, and it's not good enough to win consistently, and that's the thing, to get the consistency piece of it, and and I think that's where the frustration comes at. These guys are trying. We're all rolling up. These guys don't quit. They keep playing. Again, the second half is a perfect example. They come out and they win the second half. And they kept playing. To the end. So it's just those are the things that happens. We just have to continually try to clean those things up. But the frustration is there. I think on everyone here, that we know that those are the things that kind of separate us. If you take away those things, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game, and you give yourself a chance to win, and that's where we got to clean those things up and keep working on them and keep showing them and keep working on it, showing them film and working on it, in practice.
We saw JJ have another big night, and you compare it to the Tuesday game last week against Louisville, when he was held to 7 shots and they were really able to limit him. What was he able to, and we know Clemson's a really good defensive team. What adjustment did he make, or did you guys make collectively as a team to help get him off early, to the point where, he was aggressive early on, he scored a lot early on, and, it set the stage for him to obviously have a big game? Was there any adjustment made either by him or just, by the team to get him some good looks?
Well, I thought we got him, moving a little bit better. So again, a lot of it had to do, we got him the ball. We set some good screens. I thought we screened better in the beginning for him. That allowed him to get some room, and he made his shots. Sometimes it just comes down to making shots and missing shots. At Louisville, he had a couple of drives in there. They rim out. He just couldn't get anything going. If he makes those shots, now it could be a different game. That game as well for him personally. So again, making and missing shots is what it comes down to sometimes. And I thought he had the good looks and he got going, and then obviously they made an adjustment, and I thought during that adjustment period, we didn't get the ball to where we needed to get the ball to at that time.
You're probably tired of us asking about Donnie. I just will offer you an opportunity to give us any sort of update. And is there any sort of update on his status? And I probably should have followed up on this last week. Just based on what you know of the situation, in your opinion, do you think we'll see him on the court again this season?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I don't know that. I know he's working as if he is coming back, and we're as if he should come back. And right now, we'll know more. Each week he's checking in, and we're following his progress. So again, I think it's one of those things, that. I always say it's kind of, you just don't know, what's going to happen. And again, how is he responding? How is his body healing? So I would love to have a definitive answer for everyone, and including, I think our team would like to have that as well. So, you can, have some kind of closure to that, but we still don't know yet.
Yeah, and it's got to be frustrating, and it does feel, Red, like it's been one thing after another, right? Chance with the illness to start the year, and JJ with the injury, and Donnie, with the injury, and you guys aren't used to losing. Like Syracuse basketball isn't used to losing, and the players on this team aren't used to losing. How do you, as a coaching staff, keep the guys from getting discouraged? Because obviously there's frustration. How do you keep it so that frustration doesn't turn into discouragement and guys throwing up their hands?
To a credit to these guys have character. They want to be here. They want to play better, and they're not going to stop fighting. And again, if I see it, you're not playing. So that's who I am. Again, so that's one thing I could say is that this group is going to keep fighting. It's a lot to fight for. And not only for Syracuse, but for this community. And again, I talk to him about that all the time. Listen, this is we've had some tough seasons. I've been a part of some tough seasons, as a player, and as a coach, and the one thing that you can do in life or anything is throw your hands up, or listen. It's easy to be negative now. That's the easiest thing in life to do, is be negative. It's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is and what's challenging is how you respond. And and that's what that's the true character of men. And that's what we talk about. We're here not only building basketball players, but we're building young men. And through the season, through all seasons, it's ups and downs. But the biggest thing that you could take is it's easy to be negative. Everyone can be negative. Everything can be wrong now. But if you choose to look into that and let that get into your head, then it's not going to get better. It's just not. And these guys want to be better. We want to be better. We want to do better. So we choose the other way. All right. You got to stay positive. You got to keep working. And there is some positives in there, and that's what you got to keep doing. You got to keep building on. But one thing that you can't do is quit. That doesn't do anything in life.
Well said, Coach. Let's look ahead now to the next opponent, and that is Pittsburgh on Saturday, a team that got off to a really good start in the ACC, and now, they're facing some adversity. They've lost 4 in a row. They just, went into overtime with that Clemson team you saw last night, so we know that they're capable. But you've got two teams, desperate for a win on Saturday. What stands out to you about these Panthers?
Great guard play. They got 3 guards that can all dribble, pass, and shoot. They got big guys that can kind of stretch the floor. Jeff Capel, he's done a tremendous job there. The last 2-3 years, you're starting to see the fruits of his labor pay off from the first couple of years. And now, again, they are a competitive team. They play hard. They got, they can always put guys out there that can dribble, pass, and shoot. But I think that sticks out is their 3 guards, their 3 perimeter guards, are some of the 3 best guards trio in our league.
All right, a little bit of Red Autry as he visits with Orange Nation every Thursday, 1 o'clock. Brought to you by Oswego County Mutual. That means next Thursday, Red will be visiting them at 10 o'clock Pacific time, because that's where he'll be. He'll be in California. Oh, my goodness, the schedule next week. The Stanford game. Yeah, the Stanford game. This is not a misprint. It's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Whoa, man, that is it hurts my brain just thinking about it. Do we have pregame and postgame for it? Yes, we do. Did I skillfully pawn off the pregame and postgame for both Wednesday and Saturday against Cal on Pauly? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So Pauly will be your late night guide this upcoming week. Though I'll be here with you the rest of this one for sure here today. I'm back in the saddle for pre and post for Duke coming up in a week and a half from now. All right, we'll take a break now. Much more to come. We'll dive into the series history, Syracuse and Pitt. When we come back, we'll get situated for today's game and your calls if you like. 315-437-7644, Cuse and Pitt. Half hour out in the Dome today. Back next, Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Okay, free beers. Thanks for subbing. Nobody's officially reported Donnie's out yet. What's up with that? Did he? ESPN 2. Who was watching the CW? Yes, it is on the Deuce today, where they're currently re-airing the end of the Australian Open, won early this morning by Madison Keys. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. How does that not cash? Well, if Pitt wins by more than 8, then it would not cash. Cuse Sports Knower has Chris Bell making a shot today. Well, they were on it, Free Beers.
261 AC Oswego, WTKW HD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
That it is, back with you. What are we? Less than a half hour out from opening tip today. Brad Higgins along with you as we get you ready for the game. TK99, ESPN 1200, your place to listen. ESPN 2, your place to watch. If you popped on the deuce early, you'll be seeing right now the trophy presentation from earlier this morning, or technically last night, down in Australia, where Madison Cuse won. Or tonight. Yes, I guess it would be tonight down in Australia because it's Saturday, where Madison Cuse won the Australian title. Congratulations to Madison, the American, winning her first Grand Slam. So she on tape, because this already happened, is getting the trophy right now. And then in real time, in 25 minutes, we'll be seeing Cuse basketball players out there for sure. Time now for This Day in SU Basketball History, brought to you by Shep Family Funeral Home. Celebrate your loved one with help from Shep. Visit shepfamily.com. All-time series, there are many games historically between Pitt and Cuse, as we know. Syracuse has won 75 of them. Pittsburgh has won 50. Those are nice round numbers. That'll change here today. Cuse, and this kind of sticks out here, and it's part of the reason Pitt did not make the NCAA tournament last year. Cuse won both games last year. It's kind of easy to forget that in how everything's gone here the last calendar year for Syracuse basketball. But the Orange did knock off Pitt twice last year. They played at the tail end of 2023. It was December 30th in the Dome. That was a game in which, here's some names, the Cuse bench, 3 non-starters dominated that game, or at least non-starters at that point of the season. Quadir Copeland went 22-9 in that game, 9 rebounds. Malik Brown had not yet moved into the starting lineup. Naheem McLeod was not hurt yet. He went 18 points and 5 boards. Benny Williams had his highest scoring game of the season and his second to last double-figure point performance in a Syracuse uniform. Benny had 15 points and 7 rebounds in that game last year. Bub Carrington, who would go on to be a late lottery pick from Pittsburgh, the freshman last year, had 17 points in that game. Again, Syracuse won 81-73 in the Dome. 2 weeks later, it was just 2 weeks later at the Pete, January 16th. Final score of that game was 69-50. Had a very different kind of style of game, but the Orange took it at the Peterson Event Center, where they have won historically extremely rarely. JJ in that game added 17. Judah, who went off in the G League yesterday. My goodness, what do you have, 31 points, 10 assists? Get it, Judah. Judah had 14 points in that game. And Chris Bell, remember him? He had 10 points in that game. Bub Carrington in game 2 last year was shut out by the Orange in that game. So there we go. So Carrington is gone from this Pitt team. Blake Hinson, who was their star last year, is gone from this Pitt team. So those were 2 just monster names involved in Pittsburgh basketball last year that are not involved this year. This year, the 2 names really to know are Jalen Lowe and Ishmael Leggett. That is their backcourt that averages combined well north of 30 points a game in this one. So it was Hinson last year was kind of the guy, and Carrington was like, all right, this is the future pro because of his size and skill set. It has fallen on 2 guards that were integral parts of it last year, but they've risen. Like it was 6th man last year, they've risen now to the starting backcourt situation here this season. I believe Matt Park said on the TK pregame show, no surprise here that Donnie Freeman will not play today. Shocked, I know. We all are of that. It's our Harding and Mazzotti injury report. This will be now the 6th consecutive game that Donnie has missed for the Orange. And again, just my vibe, my sense is that he ain't playing again this year. That's just my sense. That is not inside knowledge of his injury. That's not anything. It's just listening to the way Reds talked about it, hearing how heavily, Donnie's quote-unquote camp will be involved if he can play again, and yada, yada, yada. It just doesn't really feel like Donnie is going to get back on the court this season, if ever, in a Syracuse basketball uniform. We can cross our fingers, but that does not necessarily seem like a bridge that will be crossed positively anytime soon, and boy, howdy, could they use him. I know his defense, not great, That's the nice way to put that, right? That Donnie's defense is not good. But the fact that he, has got a handful of double-doubles as a freshman this year, it's missed. And I think we saw last game here. This is what we really saw last game against Clemson. All right, JJ got his. JJ got 25, and nobody else really came along for the party, right? Eddie Lampkin almost squeezed out a fifth straight double-double, went on a bit of a rebounding binge lady, had 14 points and 9 rebounds. And that's give or take what he's going to give you every game now, it feels like. Donnie doesn't seem to have a 20-point game in his back pocket or a 15-rebound game in his back pocket. It feels like, all right, he's going to be there. He's going to give you about 12 and 10, and that's good. But is that your second best thing? If that's your second best thing after JJ, it's not necessarily leading to wins here right now. Without Freeman, you've lost kind of that secondary potential scoring punch anyway from a different spot on the court. I know, there was a lot lacking with Donnie, especially at the defensive end. But man, the dude was generally a walking double-double as a freshman, and that on the court is missed. So, pardon me. So the question is, all right, JJ today, you dial up the same, right? But who else can you lean on and count on today to provide something, anything, on the offensive end of the court? You're back at home. Is Chris Bell going to hit some shots today? Elijah Moore, we've seen his return, I don't want to say to form, but he's done some things in an improved way of late, and he hit some shots today. Lucas Taylor had it cooking a few weeks ago. He is, MIA here on offense the last few games. Kyle Cuff, we've all kind of liked what Kyle Cuff has done for you here the last couple of weeks, but if Kyle Cuff is option 2 on this offense, let's all admit where we're at right now. That's not a great answer here for Syracuse. So can anybody, Jair Davis's offense has been 3-pointers and 3-pointers only recently, which is not at all what you would have expected for the fifth-year senior transfer out of Delaware. So we'll see where it all lands here today. But JJ, sure, the Orange needs somebody else besides JJ and the exact same game from Lampkin every day to do it because, Donnie Freeman, another no-go today. As expected, it's not a shock anymore. I'd be stunned, frankly, if we see him again this year versus the other alternative. Our Harding and Mazzotti injury report here today. All right, let's get our last break out of the way. When we come back, time to sneak in a call if you'd like at 315-437-7644. We'll hit you with the starting lineups and take you up to tip time today in the Dome at Syracuse and Pittsburgh. Bottom of the hour, 12:30 today. It's Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
The Sports.
Still, Florida guy? No, I don't think this is a still. But the germs do constantly circle. I would presume so, Jen. Galloway on the show Tuesday. John Galloway, 5:15 Tuesday. Because the Raycom sports deal was asininely terrible and only cared about the teams in North Carolina. But the general backbone of that is still the general same Raycom sports people. And the CW existed to give them some money. Though obviously it's not ideal. It's way better than getting stuck with the S Network not giving a flying crap at all, though. But it is the general bones of the Raycom operation that is doing the production for that stuff. That and the rest of the Raycom distribution with all those other stations, like the Fox Sports regional stations and stuff, all just, sometimes, Supercat, all just kind of exploded. Lax in a week, Randy. 1 week from now, there'll be a score. at this time. They'll be in the first quarter. Not pregame usually, Supercat. I just toss out the option pregame. Generally, people wait for postgame too. It's really only if Pat feels like calling or not. You're all more than welcome though. But pregame is not really a phone call heavy show. And as we all know, a win or a loss will determine our volume of calls post-game today. What's up, Jacoby? For reals. And that's why we're here for you, Free Beers. That's why we're here. That stinks, Aaron. Yeah, I don't know what the crowd's going to be. I mean, there was a nice crowd last Saturday. You're going to an adult's birthday party at the zoo? I have questions.
The Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
That'd be. We got a few minutes left with you here on this fine Saturday afternoon in CNY. Glad to have you with us today as we get you ready for Syracuse and Pittsburgh, first of two between these two this year. Starting lineups officially in, and same five again for the Orange today. Backcourt led by J.J. Starling. He'll be flanked by Elijah Moore. Lucas Taylor starts at the small forward position. Jair Davis at the 4. And Eddie Lampkin, who's nearly had five straight double-doubles. He was one rebound shy of that last game. Now averaging 10 points, 8 boards a game. Will start in the middle for the Orange. For Pittsburgh, it looks like this. The backcourt is where it's at on this team. Jalen Lowe and Ishmael Leggett. Lowe is averaging 17.3 points a game. Leggett is averaging 16.6 points per game. So they essentially are combining for 34 a game. That is the engine of this team. The third option, I think, is going to be very intriguing today because Cam Corrin is a 6'10", but he's kind of a string bean kind of forward center type. He averages 10 and 6, but he'll back you out a little bit. We'll see what the matchups are. Like if Lampkin ends up on him and he starts stretching it a little bit, I do wonder how that will play out today. Other two forwards for Pittsburgh are Guillermo Diaz-Graham and Austin Zach. That is the starting five for Pittsburgh. And it's a Pitt team, and this is concerning considering the Orange's general defensive efforts this season. This is a Pittsburgh team that is averaging 80 points a game. 80. And that's not 80 anymore at this point. That's built up on like early season powder puff opponents. This is, okay, this team can put the ball in the bucket. This team can score some points now. So can Syracuse slow them down at all? Even in, recent losses here, they were still put up 78 in the loss to Louisville. And, they can put the ball in the bucket. And they're two guards when you look at Lowe and Leggett. Yeah, they can both shoot the three. But the main worry for me with those two today is they can both get to the rim off the bounce. And we have not seen Syracuse guards like that really effectively, hardly at all this season. Can JJ slow one of them down? Can Choppa Moore provide any defense early? Obviously, that has not been his strong suit this season. And then, in related news, how fast, if that goes sideways, is Choppa lifted? And do we see Kyle Cuff come in to try to lock down one of these guys? That does feel like it could be a Cuff situation because Lowe is talented, but he's only about, 6'2"-ish. So that feels like a matchup that maybe Kyle Cuff could show a little something. And like how they handle them driving to the basket. Because I think last game against Clemson, man, how many times were there where it's getting kind of like shot clock? Orange have been hanging in, then all of a sudden, whoops, somebody does one little thing and it's a wide open layup. I think of one play in the second half, it was Jaquan Carlos was guarding somebody, and then all of a sudden he's backed him down, got him on the block. It was like the smallest fake ever, and then he stepped to the other side and wide open shot. With 2 seconds on the shot clock. If Syracuse has to avoid stuff like that here today. And then there's the other side. All right, how can Syracuse press whatever advantages it will have? That is, as always, and this is going to be the question going into every game. All right, of the three reasonable candidates for this today, who will be the best player of the game? Will it be JJ or will it be Leggett or Lowe for Pittsburgh? If the answer is JJ, what is the margin between him and those two, and is that enough to help propel Syracuse? Okay, that's number one. All right, number two, can Syracuse, because they do have, at least in Lampkin, a bulk advantage inside. Pitt's bigs are not, big DeJuan Blair types anymore that are going to shove you out the way. They're not, built like a tree Aaron Gray types anymore. Like they got a bunch of skinny, tall guys in the middle. Can Lampkin or Jair Davis find a way to take advantage of that inside? That's where you miss a Donnie Freeman today. Again, no Donnie Freeman for the sixth straight game for him here today. Can we see that come through? Like, if Lampkin can press an advantage inside, can he do it in a way that is, okay, like 13 and 10 is nice. That's a perfectly good game. But can he score 18? Can he score 20? I don't know. We just haven't seen that ability out of Eddie. Can he play with that energy for all 40 minutes as opposed to, just as the game moves along? I think those are some questions. And then the main one is this here for Syracuse today. All right, I think JJ will be fine. He always is for the most part. Lampkin will kind of do what he does. Who else is going to make some shots? Is Chris Bell going to make some shots today? Is Choppa going to make some shots today? Is Lucas Taylor going to make some shots today? Will Kyle Cuff be a guy making shots today? At some point, you need somebody else to knock down a jumper. You need somebody to make a shot. Somebody. You need somebody to, I don't want to say take the load off of JJ. That's the wrong answer because the load is never going to go off of JJ. He's going to have to do this all year. That's not changing. The load's there, and it is what it is. But there's only so much you can do. He ain't scoring 40. There's only so much you can do. Who else is going to supplement what Starling is doing in a meaningful way? A few weeks ago, Lucas Taylor had started to do that. That's gone away of late. Can Kyle Cuff step into that role? Can Elijah Moore come back into that role? Nobody has definitively answered that question to yes. Certainly in anything resembling a consistent way so far this season. If Syracuse wants to win a game like this, somebody has to do it at minimum today. Can figure out the next games and the West Coast games beyond. So that's what we're looking at today. This game around about a half a half an hour. This game is about 5.5 minutes. That's an amount of time away from getting going inside the Dome today. All right, if you're looking to consume the game, and you all are, I'm sure, on the radio, flip your dial over to TK99 or our AM signal, ESPN 1200. If you're going to go check out the television for the next couple of hours, ESPN 2 is your landing point today. Doug Sherman, Syracuse grad, will be your play-by-play guide through the broadcast in this one in the Dome today. And then when we have concluded, you know what to do. Come back here. When the game is, just come on back. You know, it's going to be 2:30-ish. We'll be right here. We'll be on the radio. We'll be on Cuse Sports Talk. We'll get your Reds full post-game press conference live as always, brought to you by our friends at Romano, and we'll take your calls throughout the course of an hour after the game. With that, enjoy the game. Hopefully, we'll talk to you after right here, Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
The 315